when I first started out, it was a lot of pressure. I going into my rookie year with not having any Cup starts, and I don't think you really understand the magnitude of that shift. I think everyone prepares you for it from going from Xfinity to Cup, but the level that this is just it's so different. So many details that go into it. So that was a lot of pressure. But I think once we got a win under our belt, and once we kind of got some consistency going, you stop thinking about that and you start thinking about, okay, how can we just build this team into something that we want long term. So I think it's just cool to have a group of guys around me that we've really built from the ground up with Chad, and then when Rudy took over, brought a couple more people in that I was really comfortable with and trusted, like my spotter, and it's just been a good progression.
We'll come down here to Lee, and then right here in the front.
Can you just give us your assessment of the new car and, how you felt it changed over last season?
New like aero package?
Aero package.
Yeah. I thought it was really difficult to drive. I don't, from an objective standpoint, I know we were competitive, but, I didn't think we could pass any better, so there's still some work to do there with something going on just with how tight they get in traffic. But I think, they were certainly hard to drive. I think that's a good test to see who's the best out there. I mean, Kyle's probably the most naturally talented, and I think that it just shows the guys were having to drive their cars and manage that, and it made for a really difficult challenge inside the race car. Just how many times I slipped and how much slip was too much, and how much was enough to keep going fast. So that was a good challenge. It kind of put our car control on display.
And can you take me through that last restart? You were on the high lane, and just all of a sudden it just seemed to thrust forward. Did you get a good push from Reddick, or did you feel unstable when he got into the back of you? Can you kind of just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we so the restart, the launch went well for me. I had a really good launch, no wheel spin. And at that point I was just focusing, okay, how can I get through the gears? How can I side draft Kyle? So when they all pull down to the apron, the outside guy's a bit of a disadvantage because of the distance. So just trying to stay as close as I could there, and then it's just who can beat each other to the corner without hitting the wall. So we both got in there deep, and we both were up the track, and he held me really tight there, through the middle 1 and 2 and off at 2, and there was just enough grip up there, and I think I was just far enough up on him that I was able to stay in it, and then we were obviously dragged back, and so I got that big push from Tyler down the backstretch. So that was huge. He drilled me, but we're not going that fast, so it was nice, and that kind of got me out in some clean air.
David Brandt from the Associated Press. You've won 2 races now in remarkably similar fashion. Was it weird going through that? Did it feel like deja vu out there? Or what?
Yeah, I wasn't counting my blessings. I was kind of like, man, it went so good last week. I'm probably gonna end up crashing here. So, just when you have that level of commitment, and you have to on a green white checkered to come out the other side, it's either gonna go really good or not. So. I don't love winning races that way. It's very stressful. It's a lot of tactics, going on with the restarts. But, it's fun. It's a good challenge for us because you're all tired and you're all into that long run mode mentally, and then you have to have a pit stop and you have to somehow reset and get into, okay, how do I get a good restart?
We'll go to Jonathan and then a Wolfgang.
Jonathan Vail, the racing experts, ESPN Radio Albuquerque. First of all, welcome back. Second of all, looking ahead to November, what were some things you learned today just that will benefit you in November?
The cars are going to change a tremendous amount, so I think that I kind of keep in the back of my mind. But as far as the balance goes, I thought we had the balance really good to start the race. I was sliding around a lot, but seemed to be sliding less than everybody else. And then just when I got back in second, the dirty air is so significant. I just started to get tight, and so I started to contribute my issues to that, and then we just got the back out of the track, and then we had to try something to try to close that gap, but it just seemed like there was kind of a bubble there, and as soon as I was kind of hung up in second, I just focused on trying to be consistent. Maybe we get to lap traffic and something would happen, and just I think overall throughout the race there's still some work to do myself to just know what I need, and then also managing the car. Like the brakes were kind of hot, and I did a lot throughout the race messing with the brakes, and I just got them too hot doing some stuff. So just need to work on some of those technique things.
We'll go to Wolfgang and then to Bob.
Wolfgang Monser, Rennsport Press from Germany. You just said earlier the car is difficult to or was difficult to drive with the new aero package. I think that's for everybody in the NASCAR Cup Series. Is there a possibility you go maybe and have a meeting with a NASCAR technical department to make improvements or to launch proposals to make the car better?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have meetings almost every weekend, and that's been a big thing since probably the middle of last year. We've started having meetings with NASCAR, and it's been really productive. So, yeah, I definitely think we need to kind of objectively look at, was this a better race or not? You know, that's really what it comes down to. And from my standpoint, it tests me a lot more, but there's still some element that we got to figure out with the, you know, how tight the cars are. So I think, we'll keep working through that, and I'm open to anything. You know, I just want us to have options as drivers. You know, I want it to be hard to drive, but I also want to be able to pass.
But from the regulation point of view, you cannot touch the aero package. You must accept it like this.
I don't know. I just kind of see what they bring to the track and adapt that week. But yeah.
We'll go to Bob and then to Cameron.
Bob Hockers, Fox Sports. Was there much of a concern that you and Larson were going to wreck each other there on the last restart?
Yeah, I mean, in my situation, having a win and him not having a win yet, like I assumed he would be more aggressive. But my counter to that was, all right, I got to win. I'm gonna, you know, do whatever I can do. So it was kind of like it was a game of chicken a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I have a lot of trust in Kyle. He's an amazing driver, and we've gotten to know each other off the track. I feel like we always communicate well. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how to answer that. I wasn't really thinking through that situation. I was just kind of going wherever he was and trying to be a little bit better.
Cameron Richardson, NASCAR.com. William, I asked Rudy and Jeff about, everyone in the Hendrick camp seems capable of carrying the banner. You know, you, Bowman, Elliott, and Larson. But, you know, maybe consensus in the past was that you were maybe the third or fourth guy because Elliott and Larson both won championships. But as the years go on, as you continue to mature, you believe in that you're capable of carrying that banner, and then start this year with 2 wins. It's got to be some validation that, you are maturing. And
Yeah, I think, the people around me have always kind of helped me understand that I'm young. My Max and my dad and just everyone. My dad especially, he's a big stats guy, so he's always looking at, he's like, man, you're young, like just give it some time. And I'm very impatient, so I like things to happen quick. So that's how it happened for me, coming up through. But this level is so different and took a lot of homework, like a lot of details and really, I think the fact that I started later than most driving was a little bit of it took some time to bridge that gap at this level. Now that gap is bridged, obviously, but I just feel like it's a constant evolution and just trying to continue to get better.
Are there any questions in the press box? Any last questions down here? Over here to the right.
Hi, William. Michael Manning of the Lumberjack. So you ran pretty much with Larson 1-2 all week in Vegas last week, a lot of today as well. 2 wins to start the year. What does that do for do you think, for your team's momentum and then just for your confidence heading into Atlanta and then the rest of the first half of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I think Cliff and Rudy work really well together. So I think that's, all the crew chiefs do, but Cliff and Rudy sit next to each other, in the meetings. They spend a lot of time, and they kind of came in the Cup Series at the same time. Cliff had 1 year on Rudy, but they kind of came in with a new driver, new situation. So I feel like they get along really well. They're very different, but I feel like there's some camaraderie there. And so it's not a surprise that we're both running well. I wouldn't be surprised either, though, if all 4 of us were running well. Everyone communicates really well. So I think in some ways Kyle and I's driving style, maybe I try to adapt to whatever the setup is, and I think he kind of does the same.